Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so my name is Nitin. I'm originally from India. I've been in China for 10 years. I'm the founder and director of an organization called Green Initiatives. In Green Initiatives, we are focusing on environmental education for community and for people in companies. The goal is to really help companies and let individuals lead healthier lives. And for that, we try to provide the knowledge and actions. Apart from that, I also have another job where I work with a healthy building certification company called Giga, where we created a certification called Reset. And Reset is the world's first building certification that focuses on people's health through indoor air quality monitoring, continuous monitoring. So we set the standard, and now we are working with different companies, with different developers to really make these buildings healthy for people. Because there are a lot of green building certifications that focus on how buildings can be green, how they can save energy, save water. And our goal is how can we take the buildings one step further? How can we make buildings healthy for people? So if you spend 90% of your time inside your buildings, inside your office, do you know if it's happy for you or not? So our goal is to make sure that these buildings can be healthy for you. Yeah.
I see. Sounds complicated, right? Yeah. And I wondered what make you stay in China for 10 years?
I think one is it's the place where I've stayed the longest. Before 10 years in China, I had lived for 7 years in Bangalore, and then 1 year in Milan, 2 years in Singapore. And I think in Milan, I love Italy, but the problem in Milan was the economy, not a lot of jobs, not a lot of opportunities. I liked India, but my problem with India is it's too chaotic, too much of traffic. I don't like driving. I don't like being stuck in the traffic for 2 hours per day. And Singapore, I didn't really like it because it's too hot. Yes, I'm from India and I should be used to heat, but India is big like China. And even in India, we have mountains and hill stations. So I grew up in the south of India, which is in the hills. I always like to say it's like Harry Potter's Hogwarts. Like
What's the
really,
name?
it's a hill station called Uti.
Uchi.
Yeah, so I grew up there for 12 years, so it's a very, very beautiful cold climate. So for me, Singapore was very hot. But also, Singapore for me felt very, very organized and also very, very man made or very artificial. It was hard to have like real experiences or real adventure or real interactions. Everything seemed like so planned. Like if you want to go for lunch with a friend, you have to book it two weeks in advance, and I'm like, booyah,
Too planning.
too much planning.
Too much planning.
So I'm a bit unstructured and chaotic. So for me, Shanghai was the great middle ground because it was in between the perfection of Singapore and the chaos of India. So I guess that was the reason why I stayed here longer, but also because I've been working on green initiatives for 10 years now, and I feel like we're doing a lot of really good and important work. And my goal is to grow the team and the organization. And I think if that happens, then I'm happy to leave. But I think I feel like Shanghai is getting too fast for me, and I can't keep up with the pace. So maybe I should start thinking of leaving.
What will be your ideal destination next?
I think for me, I want to move away from the city.
Ah, okay.
So most likely I'm thinking of moving to the hills in India. So in the north of
Wow.
India, near the Himalayas, in the hills, and maybe start a very small farm project. So that I always like hands-on stuff, and computers and all that. I never really like it, but I just do it for my work. So I think that is one of the options.
Sounds very nice one. I mean, please let me know. I would love to visit
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the goal is really. I think everything that I want to do there is very connected to green initiatives, because here we are focusing on healthier lifestyle. How can people live healthy? But I always feel like in schools and in our companies we don't learn these things, right? Schools, you go to learn, and you learn to get a job.
Yeah.
Companies, you go to do a work, and you do the work to get your salary.
Yeah.
But you're not really learning things that can help you lead a healthier and happier life, right?
Like a well-being.
Well-being, right? Overall, holistic well-being, right? Not just fitness, but mind, body, emotions, society. So I think for me, what I want to do in the hills is really to have a kind of learning center where we can have people from companies or children from schools coming in, and we can run different courses with them. Because it's a nice environment, it's beautiful, it's experiential in nature, so they get inspired by nature, and they also get inspired by the course we create. So I feel like if every year we can even create like 100 new leaders then I think we're already doing a very good job. Because I think the biggest problem in the world right now is leadership. I think we have a really big challenge we have a crisis of leadership, where most of the leaders, they don't know what they're doing. They're playing politics. They're dividing masses, and it's not ethical, right?
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast 2 days ago, where the person was asked, "What is your biggest fear?" And he said his biggest fear was having leaders that don't have compassion, that don't have empathy, because they end up causing more harm. They end up dividing the masses. So I think leadership is very important, but I think leadership itself is very outdated. I think we have to focus on compassionate leadership, on ethical leadership. So when you are faced with two difficult decisions, money, planet, people, you know what to prioritize, right? So I think this is the goal with the center, that hopefully we can create people who can be better leaders as they grow up, better human beings, better leaders. Yeah.
I can't agree more. Really, I mean, when you're selling this, I was doing this. What do you call this?
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I think it's totally what we are missing now.
Yeah.
We're actually. I think we shift on the focus on a lot of arguments,
Yeah.
differences, and it's even misleading to hatred somehow. But when we look back, this COVID-19 is supposed to remind us as a human being, we have so much unknown things
Yeah.
which we should work on.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
virus is something new for human beings.
But it's all a result of what we have done wrong. And it is not the only thing we have done wrong. Virus is in focus right now, but there is so many other things, so many other problems all around, whether it's poverty, whether it's joblessness, whether it's unemployment, not joblessness. Joblessness from his boredom, which is itself a problem, right? Like, in my last 4 months, I have not had even 1 minute where I have been bored. For me, my life has always been full, either of books, of reading something, or writing something, or creating something. I have never get bored. I always have less time. But there are so many people around me who I talk to and I say, "Oh, I'm so bored. What do I do?" Right? So I think boredom itself is a problem. So there are so many problems around us. COVID is just one of them.
Yeah.
There is people starving. There is people who don't have jobs. People who are having relationship issues because they're spending more time with their families now. So I think we have to look at it as at a big picture.
Yeah.
And instead of focusing on what the issues we have because of the virus, I think we have to look at what are the other issues out there despite the virus, and what can we do about them. Because the virus will go in a few months, and we have to bring the focus back on living better and being better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually doubt that if a virus really go within several months, because it's also a saying the virus, they might become like generation by generation. So it could be always there, and it's also some subject human being can work together to make a thorough research and do something to help, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that also make me curious. Like, what did you do during this COVID-19? Where were you?
I think so. For me, most of the time I was here. I mean, I just left for 3 weeks for India in the end of February because I had a work conference in India. So I went to India when China was closed. I was there for 2-3 weeks. I did my work. I spent some time with my family, and I came back to China. At that time, China had opened up and India had closed down. So I was very lucky that way. But apart from that, all of January, most of February, most of March, April, I've always been here. So for me, I think it was great. I mean, I really empathize and sympathize with so many people who have lost their lives. It's really, really difficult and sad, I know. I have just been very, very lucky that everything around me has been safe, apart from some of my friends who've had difficulties. So I have to be grateful for that. And I think for me, it was really, really important time to recover, because I have been working a lot in the last few years. I've gone through a lot of issues in the last 2 years, a lot of personal issues as well. So
what is personal issue?
Personal
issue,
lot of personal issues as well in the last 2 years. So I feel like I was not working very efficiently. I was doing okay. I was going on, but I was still tired, maybe in my body and mind. So I think especially January and February, those 2 months, 6 weeks, I just cut off from my social media. I cut off from my WeChat. I cut off from emails. Cut off from work, and I really just spent a lot of time cooking, reading, meditating, and just relaxing. And I think I felt a lot better when I came back from India in March. I felt a lot better.
It's
and
like a
now,
refresh.
yes, and today I feel so much more energetic and so much more efficient than I've been in the last 2 years. So for me, it was a good time to recover.
Wow, that's great to
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's also a kind like a learning opportunity, I
Yeah,
guess.
totally. Yeah.
What did you learn new about yourself or your path?
Uh, I don't think I learned anything new that I did not know already. You know, honestly, I mean, ever since I started meditating 2 years ago, I think I've become a lot more conscious about myself. So I try to be very conscious and careful about what I do. But I mean, I think I just realized that health is super important. And for me, it has always been important. I grew up in a boarding school, so health and fitness was always the top in the priority. But I think I just realized that, you know, I just have to keep working on it. So I think for me, one was just, I think, just continuing to focus on fitness. And I think the other thing is just being aware that friends around me, people around me are going through difficulties. So just checking up on them, you know, are you doing okay? Are you doing okay? Can I help in any way? Or do you want to talk? Do you want to meet? Do you want to have a coffee? So I think I think friendship is very important in my life. So I did also spend time checking up on my friends and making sure they were okay and my family is okay, things like that. Yeah.
And during these times you're living in China for 10 years, is there any really challenge for the cultural differences in some way? Or
I think cultural difference hasn't really bothered me so much because I've always been very open. I mean, I think growing up in a boarding school, even though it was in India and most of the students were from India, even within India, you have so many cultures or subcultures,
Exactly.
right? So many languages, so many ways of living and thinking and doing. So I think living in that boarding school for 11 years and then in Singapore and then Milan and China, I think culturally it was not that difficult for me. I think the difficulty
or the challenge?
or the challenge I would just say is more from a work point of view, you know.
Too much work.
I think one is, yes, I think life is very busy. It gets stressful and you don't end up having time for yourself. And also I think from a language point of view, like my Mandarin is not great, but you know, trying to run a company in China without speaking Mandarin fluently, it's not easy. So I think that has generally been quite challenging. But I'm very lucky that, you know, I have Ashley, who's my really good friend. He's on my team, and you know, he takes care of a lot of the work now. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I think just running a company and not speaking Chinese well enough for me personally was quite challenging. Yeah.
I see. And did you make efforts to learning the language?
So I spent a lot more time and effort in the first 4 or 5 years to learn. So and my conversational Mandarin is okay. But I think the challenge that I feel is, you know, because I told you, like, I have like 2 jobs in the last 5 or 6 years. So my work gets very busy. And if I don't take that little bit of time in the weekend to relax my mind, then I cannot work. So after one point of time, I just gave up, you know. So I think I just missed a key moment in time where I could have learned Mandarin, and which was when I first came to China. So when I first came to China in 2010 or 2011, I should have done it maybe 5 days a week, you know, like very intensive, and then I would have made a lot more progress. But that is the time I missed because I didn't have the money back then. You know, learning Mandarin intense is also expensive. But back then I didn't have the money, and now when I have some money, I don't have the time. So it's like that chicken and egg problem.
I see. Why I answer this question is somehow I always found that like learning a new language is beneficial in many ways. Yeah, you actually like practice your brain. Meanwhile, you actually can understand another culture. Somehow,
Totally. You
right?
can understand the local culture much better. You can
Yeah.
read things much better. You can see what's on the wall, what's on that post.
No, I mean like logic-wise.
Logic-wise,
Like
yeah.
you can
Why people think this way or why people do
yeah.
those things. I completely agree. So I mean, I'm generally not very good with languages. I think even when I was in Milan, I learned Italian. You know, I was there for 1 year, but my Italian was almost 80% there. So I could speak really good Italian, but Italian is much easier. Mandarin is still much more difficult.
Quite a different system, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm learning Italian, but I'm very bad with
I think
the L.
I think the best thing with Italian is you have to be in the culture. You have to be in that environment. That really helps.
Yeah. Anyways, and so this project is more for world citizenship.
Yeah.
So how you define world citizen? What's world citizen in your mind?
I think for me, the most important thing is thinking global but acting local. You know, I mean, I
Nice
think
point.
you need to keep an idea of the entire world or different aspects of the globe and the planet in mind. But at the end of it, you still have to prioritize the local environment, the local culture, the local, like local people, local relationships. That is the most thing, because that's when you can live in the present, and that's when you can create the most impact, right? Like, what's the point in living in China if I cannot even do something positive for people in China around me, right? I mean, I'm sitting in China, but I'm working on a project in Africa. It's okay, it's fine, but I should probably go to Africa and work on those projects if I want to really make a big difference. And I think different people think in different ways. And my thinking is that wherever you are, focus on how you can make the biggest difference to the community and society around you. But at the same time, keep an eye on what is happening globally, so you can bring different ideas, different experiences from different parts of the world. So my experience in Singapore or India or Milan, I've traveled to about 40 countries. So I think all that is there. I read a lot, I think a lot, but at the same time, my focus has been how can we do things better here. And so for me, that is really, for me, World Citizen is really about thinking globally but acting locally. And acting locally is also more socially impactful. It's more environmentally responsible, and it's better, I think.
It's also helping yourself to
also help
understand
yourself.
it better, right?
Yeah.
Like more diversity and
Yeah.
I think more, what you call this, big heart.
Yeah. Being more inclusive, of the local.
Inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like what you said. Think globally, acting
Locally. Yeah.
Wow, it's really powerful.
Thank you. I just came up with it.
And lastly, may I ask you, if it's too privacy, you don't need to
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
Like now you have a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Is she also with a different culture, or
Yeah. So she's British.
she's British?
Yeah.
So is there any challenge or any new learning because you are dating different
I
culture
think
background?
I think for me, I'm really lucky that she's British, and India was ruled by or colonized by British by the British for such a long time, and
Okay.
then she spent a lot of time in Manchester, where every single second restaurant is an Indian. So I think it really helps that she spent a lot of time amongst India when she grew up. She's never been to India, but in UK there's a lot of immigrants and a lot of Indians there. So it helped her be more accommodating to Asians. And I think just the fact that I grew up in a boarding school, my school was a British school, and then we have a pretty much of a British influence in a lot of parts of India. I think it has helped reduce the cultural
Merged.
barrier and cultural gap. But yes, there are a few little things here and there, but it's actually, I think the key thing in any relationship is communication. I think if you cannot communicate, no matter same culture or different culture, you will have a problem. Like in one of my past relationships, we were from the same country, but we had so many issues because we didn't have the communication, right? So I think the key is, as long as you can have an empathetic, open, trustworthy communication, I think you can overcome any cultural barrier or any barrier actually. Communication for me is the most important thing in any relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship. You have to take the time out to check on each other, talk to each other, communicate.